Tower of Fantasy has many weapons that make our exploration lives better. However, better is also subjective. Here are all the weapons that have some form of exploration utilities, and I'm gonna go through their pros and cons for your convenience. Let's go! Alyss. Holding dodge lets you transform into a dragonfly and allows horizontal flight, but you gotta hold on to the dodge key. Releasing it will halt your flight movement. You can also toggle it mid-air, which is a nice touch, but it does consume quite a bit of stamina if you're not equipping her matrices. Also, you can move up or down in this flight, only forward. Lyn. Within her moonlight realm, you're able to float for a certain height and move around the realm with the dodge button or holding down the jump button. It has some niche usage in exploration, but you won't be able to move far as you're confined to the realm, and even S6 Lyn has only 2 realm charges. Looks nice though. Gnonno. Holding down the attack button lets you drive around like a pizza cutter, and using her 4K trait lets you move 50% faster when diving. The problem is, you don't move fast and can be blocked by objects. Jumping also gets you out of the mode, so it's not a super helpful tool overall. Also, holding skill lets you spin around like a mini hurricane. Does nothing, but pretty entertaining nonetheless. Claudia. Claudia's Gurren Blade is mostly used by some players for long jump that involves her normal attacks with a macro-programmed button sequence. I personally don't use that and don't know how to do it as well, but I've seen it, and as far as exploration is concerned, it's pretty powerful to get you from point A to point B as you leap off in the air. Same goes for Nanto, I believe, that has this same type of tech. As to how it's performed, I have no idea. Plotti. After using her skill, you soar into the air and gain the ability to fly for 15 seconds. At the same time, you also get to elevate higher by pressing the jump button for 2 times in total. However, the speed is kind of limited and it's a bit tricky to keep refreshing her flight skill, so it's more likely you use it to fly over some obstacle or barriers. That's about it. Nan Yin. Holding down attack button on ground lets you memorize a location to create an abyss portal that allows you to transmit to said location freely. Very useful for players that want to create access points for dailies, weeklies, or buying certain items, submitting quests, etc. You get what I mean? Asurada. Holding down on his dodge lets you go into a charge mode, and pointing towards a direction while releasing it will let you dash forward to the pointed position. You can move on ground and also towards the sky. The problem is, he doesn't have a directional plunge, so you can't really move from point to point well. Dang it. Fei Se. Holding down the attack button lets you fly horizontally, which you can move left and right mid-flight. The stamina consumption though is shocking. At base 0 stars, you can't last 6 seconds and you're done for. 5 stars reduces the stamina consumption tremendously, and since Fei Se is available in the commissary shop, it's up to you if you like her flight and want to up her advancements for it. You can also perform this flight underwater in Inars. Interesting, but lacking in the sense that you can't fly upwards and can't plunge to descend rapidly. Lyncis. Holding down the dodge button lets you enter her skateboard mode, which you can move about freely, hover over water, and also ramp up walls by jumping near them. Doesn't consume a lot of stamina too, which is nice. The drawbacks, however, is that the skateboard feels clunky to use and not very smooth at all. You also get stuck sometimes for no reason, and not being able to switch weapons or end the skateboard mode means you got to unstuck to fix it. Decent at best. Ling Han. Upon gaining stacks of light steps, double jumping into the air and pressing jump one more time, triple jump to be exact, lets you soar into the air and float around. Holding the directional key and jumping again lets you soar up to continue her flight. You do need to pay attention to the charges though. If it's depleted, you can't fly anymore and will need to recharge them on any surface you can land on. In mid-air or mid-flight, holding down the attack button lets you plunge diagonally. You're not able to move left or right. Still one of the nicest flight weapons we have in my opinion. Fiona. Holding the attack button after you do an attack lets you float into the air, in a bubble, and you can move around slowly. You also can move over objects as long as you float over them, but jumping and dodging will get you out of the mode. It's also too slow to really do anything for exploration. Yanuo. Holding down dodge lets you go into conceal mode where you move faster and can sort of move around unseen. This concealment can combo with relics, some food and movement boosting buffs to move even faster, which is useful for some racing events too. Holding down the attack and releasing it will toss her lance, which can press the special key button to teleport a short distance in that direction. Not the best movement tech to have, but it can trigger Fantasia when used on a target. Also, when doing her 5th normal attack hit, right at the moment it launches you up, and if you use dodge at that moment, it cancels the attack and bumps you up higher into the air. Although, it's not that easy to perform and not very useful as she also doesn't have any directional plunge. Oh well. GG. Holding down the attack button lets you float, which you can use the directional keys to move around. However, it's not really real floating as you can't maintain a consistent height and can't even go past obstacles. Like what? Releasing the whole attack ends the float too, so all in all, it's not really useful. Lyra. Not really considered as an exploration type weapon, but rather a utility when you need to recover stamina as most flight weapons use stamina in mid-air. Say for example, while you're flying with Antoria and stamina is drained, swapping to Lyra and using her dodge attacks will regain stamina so that you can fly further again. A nice to have weapon if you don't mind swapping here and there in mid-air. Voidpiercer. As long as you have defeated a boss, equipping Voidpiercer's weapon on your team will allow you to teleport to the boss with this Divine Arrival feature. A really good weapon to have as almost everybody will need to farm those bosses. Available at A02. Nola. Holding dodge enters the bike mode, which has a good speed and easy to maneuver controls. It doesn't feel clunky and jumping while riding also gives it a temporary speed boost. Oh, you can also execute mobs and mini bosses after 10 seconds of riding. You can only use it on ground though. Interesting. All in all, it feels better than using some of the vehicles for moving around the overworld. Antoria. Holding dodge lets you enter her flight mode, which is an omnidirectional flying ability that lets you move around freely, albeit at a consistent speed. You can also use the jump button to soar higher in this mode. With her 2-piece matrices, you consume less energy and mobility-wise, Antoria is top tier for overworld exploration, indoor navigation, and operates smoothly on your mobile or console devices as well. Truly amazing exploration tech. Grey Fox. Holding down on her dodge lets you fly horizontally on her witch key or broom, which is pretty neat as it doesn't consume too much stamina and can be toggled both on ground or mid-air. Travel speed is decent too. The only nitpick I may have is the landing bit of it. You need to press dodge to get off, and she does a little animation that gives you that slight delay. Wonder why they couldn't make it smoother. She also can fly vertically, only a horizontal front-moving flight. You probably can make her do a U-turn and that's about it. Lan. Double jumping in the air lets you float down gracefully on her umbrella when you're on higher ground. You can combo this with some bouncing objects like those mushrooms or Helene's Pollock's trampolines to launch you up and away into the air. Pretty good if you combo it with another weapon that can perform directional plunge. You can also hold on to the attack button and teleport to the parasol by using her skill. This was pretty helpful in bypassing some walls, especially during the Nakia boss hunts. Rubilia. Holding down dodge will propel you into the sky, and once you peak, you can hold down the attack button to dive through the air and plunge directionally. Rubilia has one of the fastest flight movements and is simple to maneuver, although you need to aim where you want to land while diving through the air. This means it will be easy to go up, but hard to land on the same spot, since her descent is angular and not a direct vertical plunge. The only bigger issue with her flight tech is the fact it is limited in some instances like joint operations. You can't use her flight there due to restrictions, so yeah. Miao. Holding down dodge lets you point to a direction and rapidly dash towards it upon release. It also works when you point it upwards to the sky. What's even better is, you get one-time usage to perform that in mid-air, so essentially, you get to soar 2 times for a higher altitude. Then, holding down the attack button lets you perform a directional plunge, making her one of the best exploration tech as it's easy to maneuver and does not have long delays in her animation. Carrot. Holding down dodge triggers her flight, which you can release the button and you're still flying. Her flight movement, stamina consumption, and also flying distance is pretty good, albeit you can only fly horizontally forward and not vertically upwards. Jumping will cancel the flight, by the way. Also, pressing dodge and holding down the attack button will let you aim and propel yourself upon release. Whee! With a funny animation too. Oh, and that toss has a short cooldown before you can use it again, FYI. She also has a diagonal plunge, so you can combo the slingshot with a flight and plunge. Awesome for exploration. Aster. Holding down dodge will let you enter her flight, which you can perform a series of movements mid-air. By just using dodge, she'll do the swing leg flight, which you can go upward and forward, gaining momentum and distance. While in this swing mode, pressing the left and right key plus dodge button will use her strings to move in rapid motion, extremely satisfying to navigate around maps in quick motion. In this mode, you also get to climb walls when you latch onto the surface and also hover on water for a brief moment. Pressing the jump key gets you out of that so you can swing away. Holding down the jump button when you have special energy from the swings will propel you into horizontal flight, which you can move left and right but not up and down. The speed is pretty good too. One of the best movement weapons up to date, Aster is definitely a recommended weapon to make exploration much more fun and satisfying. The only slight nitpick is her movement in enclosed areas or indoor space. She may feel clunky if you're not used to how she moves. But I gotta say, she's still one of, if not the best, flying weapons overall. Helene. Holding down dodge summons a Pollux trampoline, which you can produce up to 3 of them. Walking or jumping over these trampolines will bounce you high up into the air, and that's the only thing you can do. Boink, boink, boink. If you combine it with Lan's umbrella, you can soar really high into the sky and plunge with another weapon like Miao or Meryl Ironheart, but I can't say how flexible this is because you gotta set it up properly. More for entertainment purposes instead of practical use, I'd reckon. With that, this concludes the guide to all weapons available to help you in your exploration needs. I might have missed out on some, hopefully not, but if I did, please let me know in the comments down there and I'll see y'all in the next one.